this is Charles Oniet with IGN. I'm here with Anthony Gallegos.
Hello.
And we are checking out Assassin's Creed 3 on PC, which just came out. Even if you buy it on Steam, you still have to deal with Uplay, as you can see sort of down here. So you do have to sign into that secondary service, even when you do launch on Steam. Not that big a deal, but I know some people don't like that.
Yeah, and it can be a pain sometimes, but you do get some little rewards actually through Uplay points, as opposed to like Steam achievements, which actually mean nothing. So.
Well, achievements in general mean nothing.
Okay. Maybe to you,
be
Charles.
Fair. So just going into the options here, you'll need 17 gigs of free space to download this. Pretty big game. I'm running a GTX 670, and I can just look at the control options here. So you can set your texture quality, environment quality, obviously you have resolution options as expected, anti-aliasing, and shadow quality in-game. You can come back out. You can actually control different areas of the HUD too. If you don't,
that's nice,
if you don't
actually.
like the HUD, if it's too busy for you in Assassin's Creed, then you can drop some of these elements off of there to make it a little cleaner. And also, you can choose your different control methods. You'll see I have, like, you can see a left stick, you can see a B button. That's not the standard interface. That's because I've enabled the Xbox 360 controller option here, so I can switch back over to mouse and keyboard. You'll see I now have key overlays. These are just arrows, where you can switch back to Xbox 360 controller, and it seems to work, pretty well. So there is controller support if you prefer playing Assassin's Creed games on a controller and don't like the mouse and keyboard. Although I actually kind of like the mouse and keyboard. I will note that you can't. Oh, it put me back here. Oh well. You can still get a sense of the visuals here. I'll just be. This is the intro to the game. It takes a couple hours to actually get to the main action of the game. So you have to go through a significant number of tutorials, and you cannot use the mouse and keyboard and the controller at the same time. You kind of have to pick one.
I see.
So I'm using the controller right now. You can see I have the controller button prompts over on the right side of the screen there towards the bottom. So if I wanted to switch back over to mouse and keyboard, I should be able to do that pretty easily. If I just come back in here and switch this.
And now you're a real PC gamer
and
again.
now I'm doing it properly. I'm playing the way it was meant to be played. Obviously, there's, this isn't a hugely demanding scene, but if you can see by the Fraps overlay in the top, staying stable at 60 frames per second, which is pretty nice. So, I mean, what I've seen so far, again, I haven't gotten into the main chunk of the game where you're in these huge open environments, but, it seems to be performing pretty well with my system.
Yeah, and I like the way that they, like you were saying earlier to me, that there's the shadows, they're not like really jaggy. They actually have like an outline. Like your cloak is rounded, and the parts of your cloak that are rounded cast a round shadow. That's something some games can't always do.
I held the button to skip the cinematic, sorry.
No spoilers.
But yeah, I mean, you can see in this scene, a bunch of people walking around. There's a lot to see, and the frame rate seems to be holding fairly stable.
Yeah, it's taken a dip of maybe 10 frames at the most so far. So.
But yeah, you can see some nice detail in the cloak. You can see reflections specifically on the embroidered parts there. Let's see if I can do this properly.
Oh yeah,
there.
yeah, right there in the back.
That doesn't appear on the rest of the cloth. So you do get some cool effects there, some nice details if you're, if that's the type of thing you're really looking for, which I think a lot of more hardcore PC gamers are, because that's why you bought a machine nice enough to be able to.
I was
going to
say, yeah, if you're going to put an i7 like a 670 in your computer, you want to crank it up to ultra and see how it fares.
And again, this isn't the main portion of Assassin's Creed yet, just because it's an extended intro. You can see there are a lot of people running around, moving in here. Still pretty good frame rate, holding looks like 55, dipping to 54 a little bit. Thrilling, wedging your way past people gameplay.
Equally uncomfortable to watch in a video game as it is to do in real life.
So that's there. So you can do that. And here we'll get some close-ups of some of the characters. I don't believe I can actually skip this. But after this section, you do get an opportunity to go through and do some of the platforming that is typical of an Assassin's Creed game. You know, a lot of similar gameplay systems at play here. If you've been a fan of Assassin's Creed 3 and played many of the earlier ones.
One thing I've never understood, as we're gonna see, is that you're gonna have to turn your Eagle Vision here in a second.
I will.
And like,
oh right, I'm on keyboard. Here we go.
This rich guy's awesome seat is like way up there. Why do rich people sit to the side of the stage? I just don't get it.
You just don't think that's a very good view?
No.
I've never had a seat up there. I'm not very rich. And by not very, I mean I'm not at all. So I don't know. Maybe they just get awesome drinks up there.
No one actually comes for the show.
Yeah, they're not watching. They're not paying attention. They're too rich. What do they care what people are saying?
That's what I heard, is that when you become rich, you no longer care what anyone says.
Yeah, they'll just, somebody does something bad, they'll just pay the money and then it'll be fixed. Pretty sure that's how it works. Okay, here's more seat wedging gameplay.
I like that guy tried to stand and you were like, nah.
It's like, I'm an assassin, so not gonna work. Okay, so now I'm gonna do a little bit of platforming here. Please climb. And I guess this is stealthy.
Yeah, so long as no one looks around at all.
As long as nobody looks up. And nobody sees. No, they're distracted by something. Well, she actually has.
Yeah, they're distracted by something too.
It's nice that you can see the details of all the people kind of doing different behaviors within each section, but it does feel a little ridiculous that this is happening.
Yeah, they just hearing slap, 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 slap.
Yeah, or heavy breathing, because this is actually an incredibly difficult exercise. The unending stamina of any controllable character in Assassin's Creed, who's apparently the greatest in the greatest conditioning of all time. Lockpicking sequence.
Time to become a super spy.
Hopefully I don't totally screw this up.
Man, I feel like locks during this time and age, picking it must have just been like you shoved a stick in and moved it around a little. Can't imagine locks were that complex.
Okay,
nice.
There you go. Lockpicking a functional system with mouse and keyboard. I'm going to skip the cinematic. No disrespect to the story. Actually, Assassin's Creed 3 has a totally crazy story. For being a game that sells so much, it's a really...
It's very sci-fi in a lot of ways.
It's a very, I mean, not random, but it's just a really complex story that takes into a lot into account, which is weird because a lot of, I mean, big budget, you know, multi-million seller games just have such dumb stories that you wouldn't expect people to really want the big complex elements.
Especially a complex narrative that's been developed over the course of 5 years.
Yeah, and it's the type of thing where it's like, oh well, you know, you should really, if you haven't played the other games, you know, they do a little bit of a recap in this, but still, I mean, you're missing out on a lot of elements there.
Yeah, this is obviously, I mean, this is made for people that have played. I mean, you know, this, and if you've never played an Assassin's Creed game, this isn't the third one either. There's also been Brotherhood and Revelations.
Oh, here we go. Close up on the face. Nice detail there.
I like that you're going to
announce your frame rate is dropping. Oh, it's going back up as I'm sitting down. Perhaps it's tied to my amount of comfort.
You should have come to me. We would have found another way.
Oh, this poor kid. He's going to be traumatized.
Yes. But then you would have known.
I can't skip this, so we're going to have to watch what happens here. Which I think we all know what happens when an assassin sits behind you.
Armblade? That's what I like to see.
And artifact stolen. Okay, so now I'm going to exit out of this place. Yeah, look at that kid. He's totally screwed.
You remember this forever.
I will say I haven't played through the full game yet. I've kind of been waiting for the PC version to actually play Assassin's Creed 3 and hoping it was, you know, it performed well and was decently optimized. And it appears to be so, although, you know, I will say I haven't, you know, tried out the game on a whole bunch of different systems yet. So I haven't really, it's not a thorough system check.
Body discovered.
Yeah, people are screaming now, so that just became serious business. Let's see if I can, whoop. But yeah, I mean, it's all running pretty smoothly. This is maxed out. I mean, this is highest settings. It looks nice. seems to perform well. I don't know if maybe that will change significantly once I'm get out of the way, buddy. Once I'm out into the main game world, it very well might. Maybe it'll drop to I don't know, 15 or something. But what I've seen so far doesn't indicate that there are any major sort of cracks in the seams there.
Yeah, it's nice, especially considering, you know, PC game players did have to wait a month for this to come out.
Yeah, I mean, this is a little bit after the main game, so if you have been waiting, it appears that this could be a pretty good version of the game. So you can find an Assassin's Creed 3 review for the PC version sometime soon on IGN, once we get a chance to put some more time into it. Here we can just do kind of a finale scene here as we see this whole room kind of milling around with a bunch of nervous people. And still holding above 50 frames per second, according to Fraps. Seems promising. Seems promising, but again, I will say that, yeah, don't know how that may be affected later in the game.